Guys, I am sure you remember the stories about the extinction of dinosaurs, and something very similar we now observe with the Russian aviation. The extinction of the Russian aviation. And today the epidemic continued when the Ukrainian F-16, and I love saying the Ukrainian F-16, downed Russian Su-35 in Kursk direction. Kursk is now an active war zone because of Putin's failed blitzkrieg, in the result of which he invited war back to dozens of Russian regions. War always returns back home, and that is exactly what we observed during these years. No matter how hard Donald Trump tries to practice victim shaming, we know that the only way to achieve lasting peace is to keep demilitarizing Russia. And a part of this Su-35 downed, which is an expensive, modern to some extent bomber, we have also targeted an Russian oil refinery, Lukoil oil refinery in Novgorod region. So let's discuss all of these very important steps in the direction, yes, to defeat Russia. That is the only working peace plan. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the collapse of the Putin's regime, subscribe, we will discuss that on the channel sometime really soon. You know that Ukraine does not have a lot of F-16s, but we are very grateful for the ones that we have. We always take good care of them, never use them in super risky operations, and Ukrainian pilots break records, unexpected records during these missions because we are very determined. When you protect your motherland, you become extremely efficient and extremely determined. And today in Kursk region, which is inside Russia, because Russia is also a war zone, it was totally different at the beginning of 2022, but when Putin's plans started failing one by one, war returned to dozens of Russian regions, and of course Kursk, Belgorod, Bryansk, Rostov are among the hottest. And in that Kursk direction, most likely F-16 targeted Russian Su-35 and destroyed it. This was also filmed by drones, and this is just amazing how many different tasks drones can perform on the battlefield. And an important reminder, NATO needs Ukraine, because with the skills, expertise, and even production facilities that we have now, we are very valuable for the modern wars, which unfortunately may keep returning. Once again, as an optimistic, peaceful person, I thought nothing like that is possible just before 2014. Then after 2014, I did not believe 2022 will come. But look at us now, and more problems occur around the world because unpunished evil grows. Russian Su-35 is to some extent a modern bomber, and it is used by Russians for perhaps one of the most evil missions. They drop cabs, and these are super heavy and very destructive bombs. For example, today they've targeted Kharkiv with many of such. And the majority of territories that Russians occupy, they do not actually invade, they do not actually control, they simply destroy them with cabs. This is how it looks. They drop hundreds of these half-a-ton heavy bombs, destroy everything, and then control the ashes. It's not about strength, it's not about invasion, it's just about destruction. So Su-35 can target Ukraine with bombs, can target Ukraine with missiles, and every time we down them, we make this world a safer place. At the start of the full-scale invasion, Russia had 120 Su-35s. Now they have less than 80, and I'm sure that this extinction will continue. Many of them are out of order because of successful Ukrainian operations. Some are old, and once again, to live safely next to this dying empire, we need to demilitarize it. Please subscribe to demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine and share these videos if you share my opinion. And remember to check a video on my new channel where I tell you more about my 1991. That is the year when I went to school, and that is the year when the USSR collapsed. So I'm sure there are lots of interesting details, and hopefully you will share your memories about that period of our history. F-16s are magical. I know you guys have F-35 and all of that, but we are very grateful for those F-16s that we have, for the maintenance that we receive, for the trainings of our pilots. You know that our pilots set records with this aircraft. They have radars that cover the area of approximately 160 kilometers around them. And this allows them to identify Russian bombers far from the front lines, because typically they don't come close to the front lines, understanding we have our air defense there and we can target the bombers. So they keep working from the Russian rear, and that is why we actually need this permission to use long-range missiles and to strike Russians deeper, because they simply hide the instruments of war deeper and keep targeting them on cities like Kharkiv, on cities like Sumy that are closer to the front line. So it's superb that F-16s can detect them quite far away, and they can use missiles that also travel more than 100 kilometers, and that's the only way to neutralize such SUs. Because if we keep pretending that Ukraine cannot defend itself, if we're not allowed to destroy air bases, bombers, they will keep erasing village by village, city by city. And again, it's not about the strength of Russia, because you know really well that Russia fights together with China, with North Korea. For example, my city, 80 kilometers from the Polish border, was targeted with North Korean missiles. So let's be realistic. We have to have support from you, because Russia is supported by so many bloodthirsty authoritarian regimes, and for me personally that is already actually a long time ago, the Third World War. So this is good if in future Ukraine will get access to the system Link 16. That is a system in which F-16s work, and it allows this dynamic, simultaneous data exchange. I'm not an expert, but from what I've read and managed to understand, it will help to detect Russian bombers and to neutralize them either by F-16 and missiles alone, or a combination of air defense on the ground and so on. That would definitely be great. Same as this strategy to target Russian oil refineries. We know that oil prices are dropping. That is another problem for Russia, for their collapsing economy. But partially they have problems with oil industry because of approximately 30% of their oil refining industry neutralized by inexpensive Ukrainian drones. And just a similar case happened today in Nizhny Novgorod region, in the town of KSTOVO. It's a town where they have a lot of Lukoil facilities, including a very big oil refinery and a plant that produces bitumen. And most likely the fire now occurs on that bitumen plant really close to the oil refinery. And actually it's a part of that. And there are tons of videos of very excited Russians who filmed this war on their own territory. Well, they are lucky that Ukrainians respect the rules of war, respect Geneva Convention, and only neutralize legitimate targets. We observe very contrary attitudes in Ukraine when they target sleeping families in the apartment buildings and describe it as a revenge for the destruction of strategic bombers. You know, even Russian military vloggers who know something about war are very dissatisfied with such approach. Once again, not because they feel sorry for the killed Ukrainian families, but because they see this tremendous difference in the result. When you neutralize 1/3 of the strategic aviation, or you neutralize 1/3 of the apartment building or a library or a kindergarten. Well, it's not about values, it's not about moral, it's not about consciousness, it's even about this military results. Russia is pathetic, same as Donald Trump, who keeps describing Russia as a victim. And this victim blaming, it's all so disgusting that you might have noticed I even stopped mentioning his name every time I might need it. Observing that fight with Musk, everything looks very, very primitive and very disgusting. Please, my dear friends in the United States, stay strong, stay clean from that ugly things, and I'm very grateful that you are an active part, an understanding part of our community too. Please support our NAFO campaign. We decided to continue it a bit and to get one more track for drone operators, and we also added a new patch with Maluk and his dog, the beautiful authors of the historical spider web operation. Get that patch, get this piece of history, but also invest in those people who save thousands of lives and who protect the future of Ukraine, Europe, and the world. Also, we have a beautiful new summer collection in our merch shop, and it also celebrates this spider web operation. You might find some designs really interesting with a nice Ukrainian sense of humor. And of course, there are many other t-shirts that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel, but most importantly, thank you for being friends of Ukraine. Thank you for standing with us. Slava Ukraini!